So I'm sure that many of you have seen the clickbaity titles around Alicia Curry and the story around how she's being ungrateful and she's getting ready for divorce, all of these things. And I looked into it a little bit, and what I want to do is take a look at this clip from the interview that everyone is referencing. And honestly, I feel like most of us are getting sold a lie. So let's take a look.
4 kids. Did you always knew you wanted a big family?
No.
The way she references a big family, like 4 kids, like in today's standards it is, but I mean 3 to 4 kids is really, the average is 2 these days, but 3 to 4 kids, it's a sizable amount. I mean, it's not a huge family. It's not a small one.
So I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it. And I had my eyes set on my goals. And I was never the little girl that like dreamt about the wedding dress and all of that. And then it happened so early in my life. So it's like it's one of those things like you don't know what you actually don't know what you want.
And just to give you guys some perspective, so she was 22 years old when she got married to Stephen Curry, and they had their kid a year after. So she was 23 by the time she had her first child. So that's very early on to like marriage, very early in just your life in general. I'm sure that, most of us, when we get married, you want like a year or two just to get to know each other, see how things are going. Then maybe start thinking about kids. For them, it just came right away. And quite frankly, regardless if you are a basketball player or not, a kid into a marriage just freshly new, it adds a lot of new difficulties, right? I'm sure that they were wishing, or she was wishing, that she had more time to get to know her husband, for them to adventure and to go out and do things. And now they had their first kid.
Did you talk to Steph about it? Like, or did you kind of keep it within yourself so it didn't?
I do not have a bone in my body that can keep anything to myself. So if it comes to mind, it's coming out. And he's so gracious. Like he tries to resonate with me, but he just can't. And he also comes from a place of like, it's effing stupid. Like, it's not true. So why? And I'm like, but wait, like, listen to how it makes me feel. And he's like, but why does it make you feel like that? It's not real.
Right, so this adds a little perspective here, because it sounds like, she spoke to her husband about how she was feeling. Maybe she was feeling inadequate. Maybe she felt like, is this all I am? Am I just a mom? Like, maybe she was insecure about what it meant to be a mom, whether she was doing a good job. And, it looks like her husband was trying to comfort her in some way, but it wasn't quite what she was looking for at that time. Now, here's the thing. Like, most women, when they first have children, and after a while too, if you have 2 or 3 kids, like, you struggle at times to find yourself. And it's up to us as husbands, not only to us, but also to them, right? It's up to the mom to say, hey, this is a major part of who I am, right? You're a mom. It's very important, but that's not all you are. You are a wife. You're also an individual, and there are also aspirations and things that you have, and it's up to not only her, but also her husband to provide those opportunities for her to be able to get a break from just considering herself a mom, or from the day-to-day. So I honestly, I see where she's coming from, and I don't think it's from a place of being ungrateful. It's just that kids do take a good amount of your time, and it does take a lot of effort. And a lot of mothers, not just her, find themselves getting lost in the day-to-day hectic life of being a parent. And so I honestly, I don't understand where this backlash is coming, especially for her in this case.
After we got married, we found out we were pregnant with our daughters so quickly. It I didn't even have time to think about what I wanted anymore. It's so interesting. I spent my entire life like trying to work towards something, and then it kind of just disappeared, and I didn't think twice about it. But after my daughter turned 1, I remember there being a shift and being like, I have goals for myself.
And this is totally fair. My wife and I know a couple that they had their children, their first kid, when they were like in their teens. And that threw a complete wrench into what they saw their life being like. And it took them a really long time to get out of not the resentment for the child, but just overall, like, man, there were things that I envisioned myself doing, and it wasn't having a child so young. So I can completely relate to what she's sharing here, and it's not uncommon, and I don't think that this is something that should reflect wrongly on her. If you have a child when you weren't expecting, and it sounds like it wasn't something that they planned for, right? Just by the way that she is talking about this, and it's totally natural that, you know, you find yourself in kind of like survival mode. Like, now you have a child that you need to take care of. You need to make sure that the kid doesn't die. For those of us that have had children, when you have your first child, like, you're not sleeping. You're not, like, your focus is like, I need to keep this child alive. Like, I don't want this child to die at my watch. And I completely get that. And it makes sense that a year in, she's like, maybe they had some time to breathe, right? The child is starting to walk. They're a little bit more independent. And she started thinking like, man, I've been on focus mode on this kid all year with, you know, her husband, you know, doing the whole basketball thing. I'm sure that he wasn't always there to help with the child. So it did fall on her. And I don't know. I think it's completely natural for her to, at that time, a year in, think through like, man, who am I? What is my life gonna look like? How do we want to raise this family, this child? Honestly, like, so far, all these things are completely, well, sort of logical to me, and I don't see where this backlash is coming from her, for her. I mean,
Like, this doesn't feel right. I love being a mom, but I love doing other things too. And I need to get my shit together and figure out what that looks like for myself now.
If I have a career and I'm
Yeah.
not home, like did you experience that?
I still experience
Okay.
that. I still experience that. I'm almost like I'm always in therapy talking about this.
that's probably part of her problem, that she's always in therapy thinking about it. You gotta think through that. There's a point in therapy where you're just like feeding this own, like you're feeding this whole behavior, in the sense of like, if you're just talking about your problems and continue to talk about your problems, that's all you're ever going to dwell on. So I'm not saying that therapy is bad, but I think you have to find that balance between, hey, let me acknowledge my problems, let me try to work through my problems, but my problems cannot be my identity. They cannot be my entire life. And the funny thing here, though, is that, you know, well, most women would want to, for the family to earn enough, for the men to earn enough that they can actually come home and spend time with their kids. And in this case, they have all the money that they'll ever need. And her wanting is to be out of the home and to create some sort of career, something that she thinks would be meaningful for her. And I'm sure that a lot of it, honestly, is coming from a place of envy and her seeing other women accomplish things that maybe at some point she thought that she would be accomplishing.
If you lose all of those things that were interesting about you, even for yourself, like even the things that made me feel confident and cool, then what are you doing?
I think that I think that she has a lot of FOMO, right? I think that she had her children so young that she lost herself a bit, and I completely get that. But honestly, like, one of the coolest things that a woman can do, something that men will never be able to do, is give birth to a child and raise that child. And that is honestly, like, this is a problem of society, that we don't give motherhood the worth that it deserves. Like, she should be sitting there and understanding how great and how much value she's adding, not only to society but to her family, playing the role of a mom, being a mother to your children, helping raise this generation that will continue to bring forth their values and the way and traditions that their family is building. And I think that that's lost on a lot of women because society has told you, hey, being a mom, it should be second hand. Like anybody can do that. Like this is number one. Not everyone can be a good mom, right? And we've placed so much worth in women pursuing careers and basically being men, and like that's completely backwards. Like there is just so much value. There's something that a woman adds to the home that a man would never be able to do. Like I look at my wife and at times I'm just in awe in the way that she takes care of the children, the way that she can relate to them where I couldn't be able to relate. Like a woman makes a house a home. And that's something that a man could never do. And that is so valuable, especially for a healthy family. And it's sad that she doesn't recognize that. And it's sad that society doesn't recognize that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll catch you on the next one.